I've been keeping fish as pets off and on for 30 years, and in that time, I've kept them just about every way possible. Except one. I've never had a pond. But that changes now. I've been talking to Greg Whitstock and Ed Ballou over at Aquascape for several years about doing a pond, but we couldn't do it until Lisa and I bought a house. Well, now here we are, so it's time to do it. But there was an issue. Aquascape is booked all the way through next year. But that's okay, because they said, hey, we've got an Aquascape certified contractor local to you that can do it right now. This is where Easton Outdoors enters the picture. Easton Outdoors is located in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia, which isn't too far from us, and they specialize in all things outdoor lifestyle, including patios and of course ponds. Micah, the owner of the company, came out to our place a couple of months ago to determine what would be the best location for the pond to go. We had a few options. There was an area in front of the fish house, and this is a great location, but there's a big issue. Well, two big issues. And that's two very big and very old pine trees that would be dropping pine needles into the pond year round. So this location is a no. How about the other side of the fish house? Well, again, it would look really good here, but we've got a pecan tree on the right and a magnolia tree on the left that would be dropping all kinds of stuff in there. It just wasn't going to work out for this to be by the fish house. It's not that ponds can't go near trees, but it's the type of trees these are. All of these trees around the fish house drop stuff year round. We could put a pond here, but we'd struggle to keep it free of debris. So Micah suggested we move this to the house, and I gotta be honest, I love that idea. Yeah, it makes sense to keep all of our fish-related stuff up at the fish house, but to have a pond near the house would mean we'd see it much more, and trust me, the site we chose to put it is a spot we'll see multiple times throughout the day. I mean, like 50 times a day. We elected to put it right next to the side porch on our house. This is the perfect location because not only do we have the porch we can sit on and enjoy the view of the pond, but this is also the main way we go in and out of the house. The side door goes directly into our family room, and it's really the only door we use. So every time we go in or out, we're going to go right by the pond. It couldn't be a more perfect spot. So when it came time to start the build, we had 3 guys come out to do the project. There's Jim, who's the younger brother of the owner, Donnie, and Christian. They pulled up, got out of the truck, and it was like a bomb went off. These 3 guys didn't mess around at all. Donnie and Christian immediately started getting all the tools out, as well as the mini excavator and bobcat, while Jim and I finalized the shape of the pond with a garden hose. Once we had the shape that we like, he painted the outline on the grass, and it was go time. Jim jumped in the excavator and dug out the first layer. When you're building a pond like this, you don't just dig a big hole and fill it full of rocks. It's a much more deliberate process than that. You dig the first layer to set your shelf and establish your water line, and then dig out the deeper section from there. You can see it really start to take shape when they dug out the deep section. Jim had a really cool laser he used to make sure everything was at the proper level throughout the entire dig, and really the whole project. Let me just tell you, these guys had about an hour-and-a-half drive from Hampton Roads, and that was after they loaded up the truck with the equipment and pond kits, so they didn't pull into my driveway until about 9:30 a.m. This footage right here is at about 11 a.m. This went from a regular day to a beautifully shaped crater in my yard in an hour and a half. This is the perfect time in the project for me to have Jim explain to you just how this pond's gonna lay out.
We have just finished out the excavation for this pond. It's a 10 by 14. We have about an 8-foot stream on it, and then we had a little surprise. We're putting on that slate stack sphere you see way out there. We'll have a stream coming in there. It's going to come out towards the house, make a turn, and then finally dump in on the far side. And then what that's going to do is we're going to push all that tension of the water this way. Right here, you can see this is a deep section right here. So we actually have a large stone right there. That's going to sit right on these shelves. So that way, when you come over here, you're going to be able to stand right here, feed the fish, and then be swimming underneath. So we're actually going to put a light right in here.
I
So
can't wait
when
for
the light
that.
comes through here, it's gonna be really bright. You're gonna see the fish swimming around, doing their thing, you know, being all beautiful, and you'll be able to feed them, especially at night. They look incredible.
So next step is underlayment and then the liner.
So we have a non-woven geotextile fabric that's going to go under. We've actually been finding some nails, believe it or not. We've been putting them over here in your pot here, you know, stuff like this, construction debris inside the dirt, and that's not unusual. That's pretty normal. So what that's going to do, that geotextile fabric, is going to protect the liner from getting punctured, especially when you put those larger heavy stones on the liner. And then over top of the liner, we'd like to do a double layer, just as an extra measure of precaution. Think about it as a way of a cheap insurance, that you don't have a rock puncturing through that 45mm EPDM liner. So it's a lot cheaper to just put another layer of fabric than it is to replace the liner or patch a hole.
So as Jim said, the liner was next, but first they laid down some geotextile fabric to act as a cushion for the liner. The liner goes over that, and then another layer of fabric just to give the liner more protection. These liners are super tough, but when you're putting rocks on it that weighs several hundred pounds, it only takes one little sharp edge to ruin the entire project. With the liner in place, it's time to start setting rocks. And let me just tell you, watching them do this, I was constantly saying, you know what? If I had to do this work, I wouldn't last 5 minutes without passing out. In 2023, we've gotten to a place where I believe people are confused about what hard work is. How many videos have you seen with some YouTuber saying, making videos is such hard work? Well, let me tell you, next time I see some pathetic YouTuber crying the blues about how hard they work while they're sitting at a desk staring at a screen, I'm just going to send them this clip and say, hey, suck it up, quit crying, and look at this. This is what hard work looks like. Next time I hear a crybaby YouTuber complaining about working hard, I'm going to send them these clips. One of the things that really impressed me about these guys is they all knew exactly what needed to be done, and none of them stood around wondering what to do. I can remember when I was younger working on construction sites, there would always be dudes standing around with their thumb up their asses because they didn't know what to do. Well, not these guys. They knew exactly what they needed to do, and when they saw one of the other guys in need of help, they immediately jumped over and gave him a hand. It was a beautiful thing to watch. After saying all of that, you might be wondering what I was doing during all of this. Maybe you saw Tanner Serpa's recent pond build with Aquascape where he was in the hole setting rocks and helping him with the entire process and wondering if I did the same. Well, no, I didn't. It's not because I didn't want to. I would have loved to have gotten in the dirt in 90-degree heat in the direct sun, but honestly, I would have just gotten in their way. These guys operated like a well-oiled machine, and I really didn't want to slow them down. And I'm being sincere here. They didn't need me. Earlier in the day, Jim had told me his goal for the day was to get it dug, get the skimmer and biofalls set, and get the rocks set on the bottom. And well, they not only achieved their goal, but they exceeded it. They did everything they wanted to do while also starting to set the rocks on the top shelf, and they finally called it quits for the day around 7:30. Like I said, these guys were busting their asses from the second they pulled up until they called it a day. Maybe it's my inexperience, or maybe these three guys are superheroes. I don't know, but I couldn't believe how much they accomplished in the first day. Hell, I was blown away by what they got done in the first hour. I can't sing these fellas' praises enough. They not only busted their butts, but they also did an amazing job. Working hard is one thing, but that doesn't mean the hard work you're doing looks good. These guys killed it and created the beginnings of an amazing piece of art in the process. Can you tell I kind of like these guys? So what's left? They've got to finish setting the big stones, fill in everything with the smaller stones and gravel, build the waterfall, set the stacked slate sphere, which was a pleasant surprise that I didn't know I was getting, and then all the plumbing and electrical run and finally fire this thing up. Day 2 is going to be a super long day with an amazing ending, so you should definitely subscribe to see how it turns out. Now I've got to take a second to thank Aquascape for sending out this 11x16 kit for us to use on this project. They didn't just send a basic backyard pond kit, they also sent along a bunch of underwater lights, upgraded pumps, and all kinds of gizmos and gadgets that you're definitely going to want to see. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Aquascape, or maybe you know him as Greg Whitstock, the pond guy, or maybe you just know him from the TV show they had back in the day called Pawn Stars. It wasn't a show that was on for very long, but I absolutely loved every episode I saw. I'll never forget when Ed Ballou, who you may know as the pond professor, came up to me at the Aquatic Experience in 2015, and he actually knew who I was. It was a big deal to me, because the last time I saw him was on that show, and now he's talking to me, and he knows me. That was wild. Anyway, big thank you to them, and an extra special thank you to Micah, Jim, Donnie, and Christian from Easton Outdoors. All of these people contributed to the realization of a lifelong dream for me, and I can't be more thankful for what they've done. I'll have links to all their social medias in the descriptions, as well as a link to Aquascape's website and a link to the list of certified Aquascape contractors if you're looking to get one of these ponds put in your backyard. I'm sure you've seen Greg Whitstock's channel. If you're not subscribed to him already, you're making a mistake, but I'd also love to have you check out the Easton Outdoors channel on YouTube. They've got tons of really cool videos of pond builds they've done, and they're putting up videos about this build too, so you'll absolutely want to see that. Thank you so much for starting this journey with me, and I can't wait to share part 2 with you. Trust me, it'll blow your mind.